it with thimbles, they sought it with care. They pursued it with forks and hope. They threatened its life with a railway share. They charmed it with smiles and soap.
Out in the deserts of darkness and dreams, out through the oceans of sadness we sail, venturing onward through mystical scenes, blown on the whim of the wind that prevailed. We had no reason to doubt the truth, driven by danger and discontent and the drums of youth. Don't let the memory die, children of the sky, heroes of the sea. And as your life passes by, remember how it feels to be children of the sky. Searching on mountains of wisdom and fears, searching in forests of feathers and snow, traveling through valleys of secrets and tears, where only the brave or the foolish would go, watching for signs in an empty sky. We never thought that the rain would fall as the years went by. Don't let the memory die, children of the sky, heroes of the sea. And as your life passes by, remember how it feels to be children of the sky. The sky, heroes of the sea. And as your life passes by, remember how it feels to be children of the sky.
just the place for a Snark,
the bellman cried as he landed his crew with care, supporting each man on the top of the tide by a finger entwined in his hair. The bellman himself they all praised to the skies, such a carriage, such ease and such grace, such solemnity too, one could see he was wise the moment one looked in his face. But the danger was past, they had landed at last, with their boxes, portmanteaus and bags. Yet at first sight, the crew were not pleased with the view, which consisted of chasms and crags. He served out some grog with a liberal hand and bade them sit down on the beach. And they could not but own that their captain looked grand as he stood and delivered his speech.
Countrymen, please lend me your ears, and I will carefully impart what you may have thought for years, but were too scared to ask by day or after dark in the hunting of the Snark. This emotional occasion brings the moisture to my eyes, and I rise to remark, I think we may be gaining on the Snark. I've a notional persuasion that I hear a distant cry, and they're never very far away. No, they're never very far away. So I rise to remark, I think we may be gaining on the Snark. Friends, Romans and countrymen, please lend me your ears, and I will carefully impart what you may have thought for years, but were too scared to ask by day or after dark in the hunting of the Snark. The hunting of the Snark. The hunting of by my own investigations and the bearing on the chart, in my heart I can see a potential Snark may lurk in every tree. As I make these observations, I suggest that we should start, for we haven't any time to spare. No, we haven't any time to spare. In your hearts you'll agree, a potential Snark may lurk in every tree. Friends, Romans and countrymen, please lend me your ears, and I will carefully impart what you may have thought for years, but were too scared to ask by day or after dark in the hunting of the Snark. The hunting of the Snark. The hunting of the Snark.
place where the sun won't shine of its own volition. And this crazy mission may be just a wild goose chase. We've sailed for years and we find ourselves upon this beach, searching for some beast from the realms of fiction. It's a wild addiction for something we'll never reach.
Of heart, don't let these words of weakness fool you. Ignore these words of dismay. Don't let the chance slip away. This is the time to be strong. The chips are down, the hunt is on.
Was famed for the number of things he forgot when he entered the ship. His umbrella, his watch, all his jewels and rings, and the clothes he had bought for the trip. He had 42 boxes, all carefully packed, with his name painted clearly on each. But since he omitted to mention the fact, they were all left behind on the beach. He came as a baker, but owned when too late, and it drove the poor bellman half mad. He could only bake bride cake, for which I may state, no materials were to be had.
I came as the baker on this escapade. I need the dough, but I can't look after the bread. The banker does it instead. And although I never feel afraid, somehow I know this could be the single worst mistake I've ever made. To come as the baker on this escapade. I came as the butcher on this escapade, without the heart for moving in for the kill. It makes me want to be ill, but my orders have to be obeyed. Though I take part, I'm not the one on whom the blame should all be laid. I'm only the butcher on this escapade.
He came as a butcher, but gravely declared, when the ship had been sailing a week, He could only kill beavers. The bellman looked scared. He was almost too frightened to speak. But at length he explained in a tremulous tone, there was only one beaver on board, and that was a tame one he had of his own, whose death would be deeply deplored.
I came as a beaver on this escapade, though I must say I'm only here for the fun, an optimist on the run. I'm not lost, I've only been misled. I know one day I'll find the sun, though now I'm walking in the shade. I'm only the beaver on this escapade.
They roused him with muffins, they roused him with ice, they roused him with mustard and cress, they roused him with jam and judicious advice, they set him conundrums to guess. When at length he sat up and was able to speak, his sad story he offered to tell. And the bellman cried,
Silence! Not even a shriek!
and excitedly tingled his bell.
I skip 40 years
Said the baker in tears,
and proceed without further remark to the day when you took me aboard of your ship to help you in hunting the Snark. A dear uncle of mine, after whom I was named, remarked when I bade him farewell.
Oh, skip your dear uncle!
the bellman exclaimed as he angrily tingled his bell. He remarked to me then, said that mildest of men, if your Snark be a Snark that is right, fetch it home by all means. You may serve it with greens, and it's handy for striking a light. But oh, beamish nephew, beware of the day, if your Snark be a boojum, for then you will softly and suddenly vanish away, and never be met with again.
Sing your hymns of evensong, sail out to far lagoons. All you fishermen and you fortune hunters, sharpen your harpoons. Sing rhapsodies to the fickle gods that guide you. Awake the brave adventurer that sleeps inside you. before you vanish away like midnight smoke, so that no signs or memories remain. You might vanish away like midnight smoke and never be seen again. You sailors sail your stormy seas, you gamblers roll your balls, on you butterflies and you ballerinas, dance until you fall. Dream and believe, follow what you're searching for. One day the brave adventurer will be no more. Before you vanish away like midnight smoke, so that no signs of memories remain. You'll just vanish away like midnight smoke and never be seen again. Vanish away like midnight smoke, so that no signs of memories remain. You just vanish away like midnight smoke and never be seen again.
I engage with the Snark every night after dark in a dreamy, delirious fight. I serve it with greens in those shadowy scenes, and I use it for striking a light. But if ever I meet with a boojum that day, in a moment of this I am sure, I shall softly and suddenly vanish away, and the notion I cannot endure. 'Tis a pitiful tale, said the bellman, whose face had grown longer at every word. But now that you've stated the whole of your case, more debate would be simply absurd. The rest of my speech he explained to his men you shall hear when I've leisure to speak it. But the Snark is at hand, let me tell you again, 'tis your glorious duty to seek it. To seek it with thimbles, to seek it with care, to pursue it with forks and hope, to threaten its life with a railway share, to charm it with smiles and soap. For the Snark's a peculiar creature that won't be caught in a commonplace way. Do all that you know and try all that you don't. Not a chance must be wasted today. Then the banker endorsed a blank check which he crossed, changed his loose silver for notes. The baker with care combed his whiskers and hair and shook the dust out of his coats. The maker of bonnets ferociously planned a novel arrangement of bows, while the billiard marker with quivering hand was chalking the tip of his nose.
It's only a game, so put up a real good fight. I'm gonna be snickering you tonight. I'm famed for my aim, so be in my sight.
I'm gonna be snookering you tonight.
I could spend days gazing across the bays of June. You'll never win, where to begin? My break at 58, or maybe more, who can be sure? To say it's a frame-up wouldn't be fair or right. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Resist me in vain, but victory's in my sight. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Love is a game, snooker's the same, so join the queue. Get a good grip, don't let it slip, and think about the pink, don't let a red go to your head. It's only a game, so put up a real good fight. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Hey! Say it's a frame-up, it wouldn't be fair or right. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Resist me in vain, but victory's in my sight. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Love is a game, snooker's the same, so join the queue. Get a good grip, don't let it slip, and think about the pink, don't let a red go to your head. It's only a game, so put up a real good fight. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Snookering you tonight. Snookering you tonight. Woo!
Dreamed that he stood in a shadowy court where the Snark, with a glass in its eye, dressed in gown, bands and wig, was defending a pig on a charge of deserting its sty.
I dreamed last night I was standing in a court of law. The Snark was the counsel for defense. He was trying to establish the innocence of a pig that I clearly saw, as stated herein before, in a court of law. And while I was standing in a court of law, the jury talked, so we missed a lot. Some were listening and some were not, so the judge cried, I implore, bring it down to a deafening roar.
the Snark pronounced sentence, the judge being quite too nervous to utter a word. When it rose to its feet, there was silence like night, and the fall of a pin might be heard.
Let's teach it a lesson it'll never forget. For a devious deed it will live to regret. It's clear that the pig must die.
We're of the opinion the pig must pay. We can't let it live for another day. It's clear that the rules apply. It's clear that the pig must die.
But their wild exultation was suddenly checked when the jailer informed them with tears such a sentence would have not the slightest effect, as the pig had been dead for some years. They sought it with thimbles, they sought it with care, they pursued it with forks and hope. They threatened its life with a railway share, they charmed it with smiles and soap. Then the butcher contrived an ingenious plan for making a separate sally, and had fixed on a spot unfrequented by man, a dismal and desolate valley.
Shady people roam. I was wandering in the dark when I realized that I was not alone.
In the valley, all those miles away from home, I was hunting for the Snark when I realized that I was not alone.
The valley grew narrow and narrower still, and the evening got darker and colder, till merely from nervousness, not from goodwill, they marched along shoulder to shoulder. Then a scream, shrill and high, rent the shuddering sky, and they knew that some danger was near. The beaver turned pale to the tip of its tail, and even the butcher felt queer. "'Tis the voice of the Jub-Jub," he suddenly cried, "this man that they used to call Dunce. As the bellman would tell you," he added with pride, "I have uttered that sentiment once. 'Tis the note of the Jub-Jub, keep count, I entreat. You will find I have told it you twice. 'Tis the song of the Jub-Jub, the proof is complete, if only I've stated it thrice." The beaver had counted with scrupulous care, attending to every word, but it fairly lost heart and outgrabe in despair when the third repetition occurred. beaver confessed with affectionate looks, more eloquent even than tears. It had learned in 10 minutes far more than all books would have taught it in 70 years. Such friends as the beaver and butcher became have seldom, if ever, been known. In winter or summer, 'twas always the same. You could never meet either alone. And when quarrels arose, as one frequently finds, quarrels will, spite of every endeavor, the song of the Jub-Jub recurred to their minds and cemented their friendship forever.
Oh, it's hard to believe we could end up friends by a delicate combination
of fear of the dark,
belief in the Snark, and intelligent conversation. On this windswept night, we would balance the whole equation.
who would have foreseen friendship between
Female beaver
and male Caucasian? I must have known that it existed, but I couldn't quite conceive it. I was always the loser in affairs of the heart. And you know how when you find something that you want, you don't believe it. No, you can't quite believe it when the good times start. I used to think of love as just a dream that disappears, but you've taught me more tonight than I have learned in all these years. As long as the moon can keep on shining and the sun keeps hanging in the sky, no one can say what flows between us, no one alive. As long as the moon can keep on shining and the years keep rolling slowly by, you'll be a friend of mine. As long as the moon can shine. Some people search for people, and some people search for freedom, and some search for nothing but the thrill of the chase. And you know, sometimes you search for things just to find that you don't need them, or you search for the right thing in the wrong kind of place. I used to think of love as just a promise people make, or a game that people play, or just a risk that people take. But as long as the moon can keep on shining and the sun keeps hanging in the sky, no shine. As long as the moon can shine.
And the bellman, unmanned for a moment with noble emotion, said, "This amply repays all the wearisome days we have spent on the billowy ocean."
Forget the risk we are taking. Let it rain, let it hail, let it snow. We could be wrong all along, but at least if we hold on, we soon will know. Although we could be dancing towards disaster, with every movement we make, we could be dancing to disaster. We can fail with every step we take. We could be dancing towards disaster, with every thrill that we share. We could be dancing to disaster, but I get the feeling we don't care. There is no time left for wasting, looking back on the corners we turn. Don't count the cost or we lost, for the bridges we have crossed have all been burned. But we've learned we could be dancing towards disaster, with every movement we make. We could be dancing to disaster. We could fail with every step we take. We could be dancing towards disaster, with every thrill that we share. We could be dancing
the sun now shines of its own volition, and this crazy mission isn't just a wild goose chase. We sailed for years till we found ourselves upon a beach, gaining on this beast from the realms of fiction. I've a strong conviction it's a thing we soon may reach.
The baker is shouting, the bellman said. He is shouting like mad, only hark! He is waving his hands, he is wagging his head. He has certainly found a Snark. Erect and sublime for one moment in time, in the next the wild figure they saw, as if stung by a spasm, plunge into a chasm, while they waited and listened in awe. It's a Snark, was the sound that first came to their ears, and it seemed almost too good to be true. Then followed a torrent of laughter and cheers, and the ominous words, "It's a boo." They hunted till darkness came on, but they found not a button or feather or mark by which they could tell that they stood on the ground where the baker had met with the Snark. In the midst of the word he was trying to say, in the midst of his laughter and glee, he had softly and suddenly vanished away. For the Snark was a boojum, you see.
Children of the sky, heroes of the sea. And as your life passes by, remember how it feels to be children of the sky.
Sky.